Hello, and welcome back to another Real Talk. So, I have 4 questions with me here today. One of them is from my email, which thank you very much for sending that in, and a couple of them are from Papsicle, and another one is just from a question I heard from someone that I was talking to, and I thought it was a really good question. So I was like, you know what, I'll add it in. So, the title question today is, how do you get in the zone? This one was suggested by Papsicle. And I usually find that getting in the zone requires 2 things. It requires 1, motivation, 2, concentration. Now, motivation is just needed to get you started on what you want to do. So, for example, if you wanted to write a book, exercise more, make a YouTube channel. I'm just trying to come up with things here, but anything. If you want to do anything, you obviously need motivation and an interest in what you want to do. So, my example for this motivation, for me using motivation would be this YouTube channel, despite my very abysmal lack of uploads, I just had a 1-year hiatus where I didn't post. I'm very sorry about that, but anyway, but I will say that motivation does help you get started, but it also does have a limit. So if you do run out of motivation, it's like, you just kind of lack it, and then at that point you have to do commitment. But when you're starting off and when you're trying to get into the zone or trying to do something you want to do, motivation does help. So just try and make the most of it. Now, concentration, on the other hand, is more like to help you get into that flow state. Now, yes, you may have sat down at your computer to start writing your book or start scripting a YouTube video, or you may have gone to the gym, or you're doing home workouts, you know what I mean? It's one thing to sit down and do it, but it's another thing to actually start doing it and keep on doing it, So concentration really does help with that. It's quite an obvious answer, but it is a bit more complex because when you concentrate, it helps your mind get into the beginning of the zone, or the flow state, or whatever. I'll just call it flow state from now on. But it helps you get into the beginning of that flow state, and then after a while, when you become, I guess, what's the word? Oh, well, once you become more integrated into that flow state, it just turns off. You don't need to focus anymore because you're just on a roll. You just have so much traction already from entering to that flow state that you're just writing. Like I had one time where I was writing one of my scripts and I sat down and wrote for 3 hours nonstop. And the only time I had to get up was to go have something to eat. So that is the power of just concentrating for a wee bit, and then eventually you just enter into this flow state and you don't need to worry about it. But it is quite hard to do it. If you one thing I do is I remove all distractions. You have your phone. You may have your phone next to you or anything like that. Just put that away. Put it on silent mode. Put it on do not disturb. Put it away from you so you don't feel inclined to look at it. But also, listening to music can help, but sometimes if you have an ad break or, you know what I mean, something like that, it can interrupt that flow state because then you have to go onto the thing you're listening through, skip, or wait for the ad to finish or whatever, you know what I mean? Stuff like that can interrupt that flow state and it's not really good. But yeah, motivation, concentration, those 2 you definitely need to get into the zone. But then after a while, when you keep on doing it, when you keep on entering into the zone, it just becomes second nature. And then all you need to do is just shut off your brain. Or that's usually what I find, is I just turn off my brain and I just get going. I just don't need to worry about having all this prep time. But I still do find that I do need motivation to do stuff. But concentration-wise, I don't need to worry about that anymore. But eventually you do, it does just become second nature, and you're just able to enter the zone whenever you want. It's just all about getting started and staying committed to doing what you want to do, Alright, this next question is from my email, and thank you very much for sending it in, despite it being a very questionable question. But anyway, let's just get going. So, this person asked, ass or tits? I would for sure pick
neither of those answers and instead choose personality over ass and tits. As a distinguished gentleman, I know that the size of boobs and ass doesn't matter at all, only if she has a good personality and treats both herself and you with respect. Personality is what truly matters in a relationship, not whether she is hot or not. I would never want to have a lady who looks stunning, but has a miserable personality is communicating with her would be absolutely mind-numbing.
Alright, so the next question is once again from Papschool. Now, he asked me, why have I not watched Look Back yet? For those who don't know, Look Back is a anime movie, and as everyone should know, if you guys don't know, you guys should go watch his Papschool's videos. He's very much into the anime scene, manga, whatever. He does very good reviews. I recommend it. I genuinely do like watching his stuff. But my answer to that Papschool is that I'm not really a movie person, especially one for anime. I really don't see myself enjoying it. Like, I'm gonna be honest, my history with anime was like very not interesting, but like I started watching anime when it was like a nerdy thing, and now I've kind of moved away from it. It's kind of weird because back then you'd be considered like an absolute nerd if you're watching anime in like school or something, and now everyone's like, oh yeah, I watch Berserk, or I watch Goblin Slayer or something. It's like, come on, man. It's like, come on, I pioneered that. I'm a trendsetter here on this one, okay? But I'm gonna be honest, I've kind of moved away from anime. Like, yes, I do like watching something every now and then, like, Neon Genesis. That's pretty cool, I guess. But I am more getting into manga anyway. Mangas, I think, is better than anime. But yeah, I might watch it, but I'm not really interested right now, and you know what I mean? So, I'm sorry, Papschool. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Now, the final question that I have here today is actually from a conversation with one of my friends, and he asked me, how do you turn an acquaintance to a friend, or into a friend, you know what I mean? So, with this question, it kind of depends on person to person, really. I consider a friend someone who I would go out and do things with, like, going to the mall, going to the beach, cruising around town, just hanging out in general. That's like what I consider a friend to be, just someone I would hang out with. Well, like whenever, like I'd actually set time out of my day to like spend time with them. But of course, as I said, it does truly depend from person to person, as everyone has their own boundaries or like their own little lines that they draw of what they consider a friend and an acquaintance. But one thing that I also know as well is that from my experience, you don't really ask or tell them that you are their friend, unless it's like a really, really deep moment, you know what I mean? Like, how you have those really deep Discord talks? Yeah, like that. So, but usually when you're talking to them in person, or like you're talking to them online, you don't really necessarily tell them that you are their friend or they are your friend. It's just like, you just know. It's just the feeling. You just get that feeling and you're like, yeah, I know this guy. I know him pretty well. I would say he's my friend. But you just don't tell them. And like both of you and the recipient should like be able to feel that feeling, I guess, and like feel that your relationship's grown stronger or anything like that. But yeah, like this was generally a really good question, so I'm quite happy with this one actually. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, I'm gonna have to end this episode here. As I said, I only have 4 questions, and I've been trying to come up with more, man. Like, it's actually kind of hard because I don't want to keep on doing the same questions over and over and over again, So yeah, I'm gonna have to end it here. If you do have any spicy, burning questions, or like just want general advice, please email me at xshibex.realtalk@gmail.com. I won't really respond to your email, but I will. But in the next video, I may add it in or something like that. Yeah, I guess that's all I gotta say. Thank you all very much for watching, and take care. Farewell.